All right, here we are, Joe and Mike back again, buildassetsonline.com. We have yet another successful student, Mike. I feel like out of every person on YouTube or in podcasts that does this, I haven't done an official count, but something tells me we have like the most successful student interviews like this, not just like a testimonial saying like, I did this and it changed my life. We got these long interviews with a bunch of students, and I think we might have the record. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it might be true.
Yeah, well, we got another one today, so let's welcome Will onto the show. So, how you doing, Will?
Good, Mike. Thanks for having me. Joe, thank you so much for having me. Been looking forward to this, looking forward to talking to you guys, and just kind of debriefing on the whole experience.
Yeah, you really got to see the back end of how things operate, and it's probably not as impressive as you think. You know,
Yeah.
you're just
If it works, man. I feel like that's the thing though, like when you're on the outside a lot of this kind of stuff, and actually it applies to like just like regular jobs too. Like I remember my first job out of college was like this super corporate job with like a pretty like, fancy sounding company. But then when you actually like get behind the scenes, you're like, oh wait, nobody is like as tied up as you think they are from the outside.
yeah, I think that type of um, thing, like when you come into the real world, is a
Hmm.
big motivating factor for like why people start dropshipping and want to eventually leave their careers. So, why don't we talk about where you came from, kind of your origin story into making money online?
Yeah, yeah, sure, man. Um, okay, well, I graduated about 2 years ago. Right out of college, I took a sales job at a tech company. I was doing like, it's called like sales engineering is like a name for it, but basically you're like going around talking to potential clients and like explaining the technology to them and trying to make the sale that way. I did that for about a year, and then I kind of pivoted in my career to consulting, specifically like digital consulting. So making websites and like working with e-commerce brands and that sort of thing. And I started thinking a lot about this kind of path, I guess, in like March or February of this year. So about nine, 9 months ago, 8, 9 months ago. And at first I wasn't really interested in like drop shipping in particular, but mostly just like, okay, how do I like, build passive income? Like I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and so that like changed my mindset about that. And I was also just thinking like, what can I do to like basically get out of, to get my time back as fast as possible. That was like kind of the primary motivator for me, because I was thinking like, if I can get my time back, then I can focus on building wealth, building assets, etc. And then I found like this kind of business model. Like I've been getting ads, like those kind of like gimmicky ads on YouTube for a long time, but I was kind of dismissed it. And then like I read about this guy who was doing high ticket drop shipping. His name is Trevor Fenner. Have you guys ever heard of him?
Oh, have we?
Oh, you have?
Continue.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I came across his blog, e-commerce paradise, and that actually made sense to me, like how that could work, like drop shipping, doing like the way that a lot of like these kids on YouTube were advertising it just didn't make any sense to me. Like how could that be a sustainable business model when you're basically trying to like you're banking on creating a trending product, and it's like even what goes up must come down. So that never really made sense to me, like how that was going to work. But then reading this guy's blog, I was like, oh, this actually makes sense as like a sustainable business model. So I started kind of just like basically, I don't know, trying out a bunch of different stuff and familiarizing myself with all the tools like Shopify, Google Ads, all that stuff. Never really got deep into Facebook ads, but I sold like some different products. I had a couple of different stores, and I made some sales, but like wasn't really profitable. And then in like July, I think middle of July, I bought your class, and that was great because it gave me like I pretty much already had all of like the skills and such just from like doing the just like messing around on my own and like was familiar, but like the class gave me such a solid framework
Mhm.
because so much of it is like there's just so many options. It's like, you know, having like a solid framework to work from was like so helpful for me. And yeah, from there I built my store. um this is while I had a full-time job too, so I just work on it for like a couple hours every day,
Mhm.
and started making sales in like the middle of August. Brought some people on to help, scaled it up through September, and since the end of September I've been working on it full time now, just like trying to keep scaling it up. And uh, yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. So I didn't realize you didn't get much going on the store until August.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we talked a couple weeks ago or a week or two ago, and
Mm-hmm.
your revenue for last month or this month was quite impressive. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
pretty quick ascent from, I guess zero. Were you at zero in August,
Yeah.
all the way up to, I don't know if you want to share what your revenue is now. I remember being
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in the six figure
Yeah.
realm.
For this month I'm at like $175,000, which is,
Yeah, that's
you know,
that's
yeah.
honestly maybe the quickest I've ever heard
Mm-hmm.
of a student going from nothing to six figures, especially to like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't just crack like 100,000. That's 150K plus. That's almost,
Right.
you may even hit 200. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I mean, I want to, before we dive into that, I want to take it back a little bit
Yeah.
to kind of when you were at your job. Like, what do you feel like was the moment or the thing that turns you on to wanting to create passive income in the first place?
Mm-hmm. um Yeah, I feel like I was a little bit like disenfranchised, like just coming out of college, like having certain expectations of what it's going to be like to work,
Yeah.
and that didn't like my experience didn't necessarily meet those expectations. And you know, part of that could just be like where I was. A part of that is definitely just like me and my temperament as a person. Um,
Ooh, your
so
temperament.
What
I
really?
like to be able to like make my own decisions and like you know, I like to be able to work on creative stuff and have more autonomy in what I'm doing.
Well, what were your
You know,
expectations and how were they broken?
I think like a lot of kids coming out of college, like you think that you're gonna come out of school and you're just gonna get like some sick corpo job and you're just gonna be like grinding and making money and everyone's gonna be like these super suave professionals, and it's like we were talking about before, like everyone's gonna be like super buttoned up, and that's not necessarily the experience all the time. um like what I was doing, I was feeling like I wasn't necessarily getting the most out of not only like my work but also just like I just felt like I could be doing a lot more with the energy that I had. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
was like a big thing for me. And
It's interesting you say that
mhm.
because I didn't realize that people leave college with those expectations. I feel like nowadays the stigma is like you leave college and like you're not gonna be able to find a job at all. But
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was just me. Um, but I mean, I've talked to a lot of my friends kind of had those expectations, even friends that like, you know, took like what would seem like a just a sick job working for like a production house in New York City or something. Like even they're like, damn, this is like not as cool as I thought it was gonna be. Like,
yeah,
Yeah. You felt like it would be more of an outlet for creativity, or just like, I think when we're that age, in our early mid 20s, it's like,
mm-hmm.
you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of ambition to do stuff.
Yeah,
And when I felt like when I was at my job,
mm-hmm.
you kind of said it, but you said, you felt like you could be doing more with your energy, and that's kind of how I felt. Like, the way
Yeah,
I was thinking about it at the time was, I felt like all my potential as a human was being like not used, you
yeah,
know
right.
and
Yeah,
that to me was like the most painful thing. I was like, I'm just sitting here, it doesn't matter what I do, the outcome's going to be the same, the paycheck's going to be the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
And so, like, yeah, you feel like, the value that you can offer, or, what, whatever that feeling is inside of you is like not being exercised, and it's
Yep.
that really is a big motivating factor.
Yeah, 100%. Was that like primarily the reason for you too, or was it like were there different reasons that you were
Well,
interested in
yeah,
doing
I think
this?
so, and a combination of like I had gone to Thailand
Mm-hmm.
for a couple weeks before I started my job, and so it was like a crazy juxtaposition of
Yeah.
seeing that type of lifestyle, and then
Yeah.
going into like straight into a cubicle.
Straight to the office. Yeah,
Yeah,
bro.
like
That's funny.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not the best thing for
Mm-hmm.
my first taste of the corporate world. On top of the
Yeah.
fact that yeah, it was just like a shitty job too. So
Mm.
um, yeah, I think that's really what drove me was just like that feeling of I'm just sitting here, and if I don't do something, I'm just gonna continue sitting here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right.
yeah. Also, guys, I'm not seeing any chats happening, so please chime in, say hello in the chat. Obviously, we'll get to them at the end of the stream. You could ask Will anything, ask us anything, and it's a good time for you to get your knowledge up. And yeah, so all right, so let's go back to the store. So in August,
Yeah. Okay.
well, you said you started doing stuff in like July.
Yep.
Um, so after about a month or two, you had like a store ready.
No, I mean it was like after a couple of weeks. Like I bought it probably like mid-July, and then man, it was so crazy actually. Like I can remember just like I was like laying in bed, like going to sleep just after I bought the course, and like I had kind of like gone through it, and I was like, yes, like this makes sense. Like this is definitely gonna like, because no, dude, like up until that point, I'd pretty much just been like, is this gonna work? Like trying to like, dude, I was trying to like drop ship high ticket stuff off of Alibaba. You know what I mean? Like, I know I was just like trying anything, and that didn't really like work that well.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I think a big part of the way that we talk about things that stands out to a
Mhm.
lot of people is we talk about it from like a long game perspective,
Yeah.
but at the same time, dropshipping does have that ability to like you can make sales really quickly and you can get off the ground really quickly. So I think if people don't have like the long term vision in mind or
Yeah.
understanding
Right.
how it works long term, it's gonna be
Yep.
one of those things where you're never gonna fully commit to it.
Dude, 100%. And understanding that it's like a business that you're building. It's not like a quick cash out that you're going after. You know what I mean? Because like there's so much of that attitude, I think, just with like, I don't know if you guys ever hear about like NFTs. Obviously, you hear about like crypto, but stuff like, or like Tesla stock, stuff like that, that's just totally speculative. And people are just trying to like turn around a quick like gain. It's like not what you should be doing, at least if you want to like build a sustainable business.
Yeah, I mean, I see the appeal to that type of thing,
Yeah.
because it's like, yeah, it's so sexy, I guess, to
Yeah.
be able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
take
Yeah.
your money and then triple it,
Double
ten
it.
x it,
Yeah. Right.
whatever. But I think at the end of the day, people need to consider that you're not gonna you're still gonna take losses doing that. Like the possibility is always there. There are things that are outside of your control, and so I think it's a better situation to do something that gives you full control and do something that the longer you do it, the higher your odds of success.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have the vision of like where do you want to be financially in 5 years and 10 years. When I was at my job, I
Totally.
knew
Yeah.
that I didn't know how it was going to get there necessarily, but I knew that I didn't want to like work anymore at some point, or I wanted to be able to work as little as possible and basically have
Right.
all my passive income cover my expenses. And so now everything we do, I kind of put it in that. I think about it: is it working us towards that, or is it working us away from that? And I kind of have it sorted out in my head, like, all right, this is what I need to get towards that. If I want to have a decent lifestyle with like kids and all that stuff, I need to have this much in investments like Vanguard, like index funds. I need to have
Yeah.
the rental property, paid off house. Like I know roughly all the things I need to do, and I know just from doing online businesses successfully, I know whether something is moving towards that or moving it away from that. So that's what I try and stay focused on. And yeah, it is really tempting to, you see something, you hear about like This never really
Yeah.
happened to me with NFTs or something like that, but just any sort of new shiny object, you hear about it, you're like, man, like, could we do this, or can we grow faster if we do this, this, and this? But yeah, my plan is to, I have the rough outline of where I want to go, and then once
Right.
we get there, I think that's when we'll start. Maybe we'll playing with more stuff like that, just for fun, playing with the NFTs, doing more things that,
Right.
hey, I don't really care if they don't pan out because I'm already where I want to be.
So was that kind of always like the game plan for you when you first? Well, I guess I kind of like to back up. From what I understand, listening to like other like podcasts with you guys. So Joe, you kind of like discovered this whole world, and then Mike, you eventually like joined, and is that kind of how it went? Like Joe, you kind of instigated it.
Yeah, but I don't think I had the same mindset as Joe as far as like
Mm-hmm.
long-term vision. I wanted to ask you about that because I felt like when I was younger, the idea of creating a business maybe wouldn't be as appealing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted, I think something that would be more of a quick win, or the idea of like
Mm-hmm.
a business just sounded like so much work, and just creating something else for myself that was like, I don't know. I think I wanted to be freer than that, and I wasn't,
Right.
when I was your age, or when you graduated college, like there was no NFTs. Like
Mm-hmm.
I tried to buy Bitcoin in college. It was like impossible. I would have to like meet up with someone. Like that's technology's
What?
progressed a lot quicker, and so like there's a lot of different opportunities out now. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, what was your mindset about that stuff? Because yeah, you see all those types of things happening with the crypto and all that. Like,
Yeah.
what made you want to do something more like sustainable?
I just think it makes more sense, honestly. Like, I would rather have an asset that's producing steady income than have like a bunch of money in savings.
Yeah, well, you're more mature than I was. Because I mean, at the time, I mean, and that's why like I'm so grateful for Kindle, because Kindle was
Mhm.
really the gateway drug into doing this type of thing.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's like it is a business, it is sellable, it is in line with what we teach.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it's like it's kind of BS, because you just make a bunch of books, you throw them out there, you're not handling
Mhm.
any customer service, and you just see like an NFT going up, you just keep refreshing that Kindle graph, you see the page reads
Yeah.
going up, and so it really gave me the best of both worlds there. So
I thought you were gonna say I'm so grateful for my big brother, but then you said,
oh well,
nah,
sure.
nah, it's all. I mean, no, but yeah, but I
He
think
is. He
back
is.
to the Kindle
He
days.
is,
I
Joe.
think long term, back to that vision, the Kindle business model, or having the lifestyle of the Kindle business model in a more sustainable and diverse way, is our, I think, our ultimate vision, because we'd rather
Right.
operate one big dropshipping store that has the potential to sell for 5, 10, 15 million or beyond, which is the direction we're moving towards. And then on the side, or not on the side, but in parallel, we should have the super passive income assets that are more risky, like the blog sites. Just having that balance, I think, is good, because stuff like blog sites, they're expensive. I think they're way more risky than dropshipping stores, just because you're reliant on, there's no paid traffic, it's just all organic, but the payout is very, very high.
Yeah. Joe, how do you like make money from blog sites? Is it all like affiliate marketing?
And showing display ads. So yeah, it's
Oh,
affiliate
yeah,
links
okay,
plus
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
ads.
Well, really, you can monetize a blog site with anything.
Right.
So we've done things with like ClickBank, right? So I guess that is affiliate, but at the end of the day, it's just traffic, right? So it's like, how do you best monetize the queries people are searching for and landing on your page for? So
Right.
some things like you really can't monetize that well, because it's it's just like information. I can't think of a good example, but like I can't think of a good example, but like something that's super informational, like a quick answer, you really can't do any more than just put some ads up, but you can get a lot of traffic that way, and it's like easy to rank for it. But there are other things like that have a lot of like buyer intent. Some things maybe you'd run paid traffic for, and so if you can get that organic traffic, then you could even monetize it with like a dropship product or your own
Right.
FBA product or a ClickBank product or your own info product.
Right.
So I think really we're going to be working on the merging of everything
Yeah.
together, because at the end of the day, that's really how you get the best multiples in business.
Totally.
Like when we sold our Kindle business, we had a blog in tandem with the Kindle business that was driving traffic to our Amazon books, but also it was getting display ad traffic. We were ranking for like Kindle Unlimited review, so it had a lot going for it, and that really I think played a big factor in our multiple. So
Right. Well, when you say multiple, you mean like when you sell it?
yeah, so we were able to
right.
get it listed at like a 47x multiple, like a almost 4
Right.
years of
Yeah.
profit.
Is that before tax profit that they look at to apply the multiple to, or after tax profit?
Definitely
They don't
before.
really take into your tax.
Definitely before tax. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, as far as taxes could be, however, I don't know, however you deal
People
with that.
people buy from different countries, so it's
Fair. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so yeah, like when we had listed our dropshipping businesses back in the day, we were getting like 24x, 28x. So if you think about that, we essentially doubled like the value of what we can sell a business for.
Yep.
Because it had multiple traffic streams, multiple revenue streams.
Yep.
So it makes things a lot more stable.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yeah.
That's what I'm actually interested in doing. Is like kind of a long-term play. Is like I've got my store now that's like going pretty well, and there's opportunity I think for content there. So that's like what I would like to do is create a blog site that maybe some of it is display marketing, like you're talking about, some of it's directing traffic back, and then I don't know, sell them at the same time or something.
What I wanted to add was we're talking about the buyer intent keywords and the informational keywords, but there's many instances where there's queries that are like a blend of that. So, for
Right.
example, say you're selling like a pencil or something, there could be you can have an article that's like types of graphite in a pencil or something, or like what type of graphite do pencils write with. And then that person, they might be searching for a pencil, they might not, or another example of a query would be like how to make like mechanical drawings or something, and then you need you need the pencil to do it. So there's all sorts of things like that which are not a direct buyer intent keyword, or people searching for like best pencil, but there's or like buy pencil or best pencil or this model of pencil. Those are obviously the stuff you want to go heavy on for your ads, but for organic traffic, there's a lot in the middle there. So
Right.
Yeah.
How much upfront capital do you need to really like make a successful blog site?
Well, if I were you, I would do it with my drop shipping site. I would do it like based on products I'm selling. So it's really dependent on. It's hard to give a direct answer to that because it's dependent on the keywords you're going for, and so and how easy they are to rank for, and the value behind those keywords. So it can go from anywhere from not that expensive, having a few pages that can really make a difference, or super expensive when you're going after all the informational keywords around everything to try and get people at all stages of the buying funnel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how aggressive you want to be in terms of like how many articles you want to make, how much effort you wanted to put in getting backlinks. Maybe you got to pay for some of that. But I mean, really, in the Kindle example, we had put up maybe it was like 30 to 50 pages in total, and then it really sat there for like a couple of years, 1 to 2 years. So, yeah, I mean, there's like in that instance, maybe if we could look at like the impact it was actually having on Kindle sales, and say, oh, maybe it wasn't adding to a whole lot of the profit percentage wise, but again, just having that there added to the multiple of the business.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it's almost like just by nature of having it increases like perceived value. But in your
Yeah.
case, you obviously want to increase profit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it just depends how aggressive you want to be with it. Like you can commit to having say like 5 articles a month done,
Right.
and so whatever it costs a writer to do that,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the word count and stuff like that, and then yeah, just recycle a percentage of your profit each month into that side of the business, and then over time it will grow, and you'll see what pages work, what pages don't. But the thing I wanted to add to what Joe was talking about is like, yeah, sometimes you can't always go directly after the buying intent keywords like buy buy a pencil now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going after more like adjacent type things, like
Right.
yeah, like mechanical, how to do mechanical drawings or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
you're capturing these people into your audience, right? So you have like your pixel that's on your website.
Mm-hmm.
So every time someone lands on your website, they become part of your visitor audience, and now you can retarget them, or you can spend more to bid on them because they're like a separate audience. Obviously, we talk
Mm-hmm.
about this in the course. Um, but once you start getting into that, you're really creating your own mini buyer funnel. You're
Yeah.
working people
Right.
down from, or yeah, down from how to do a mechanical drawing to okay, now they see they need these types of pencils, these mechanical pencils. Now they're maybe gonna see what brands there are. Now they're gonna search for those brands, and they're already
Mm-hmm.
in your audience, so they're just gonna get hit with a retargeting ad. So you're gonna show up ahead of everyone for those brands. Boom, they're back on your
Yep.
website. They maybe already trust you. So that's kind of how it works long term.
Are you able to take an audience, like say you have you have a dropshipping store and then you have your blog site here. If like I come onto the blog site and I get hit with a pixel here, are you allowed to, or not allowed to, but like have you ever, can you take that audience and apply it over here? So like by going to the blog site, I get added to like a retargeting list for the dropshipping store.
The answer is yes, but you could also blog from your Shopify store too.
You could blog from the Shopify store, yeah.
But I want to get back to you because
Yeah,
we
sure.
have you here. So, what do you think you did for you to scale so quickly?
Yeah. I think it's kind of like a confluence of things, to be honest with you. One is that construction is just like booming right now, and my site is like in that sort of environment. So when construction is good, then people are going to be buying the stuff that I'm selling. So that's like one big part of it. The other part is that pretty much right away, like the first thing I did was get some VAs to help.
Mm,
Daneska and Myra, they're both like really, really good. One of them, Daneska, she like handles a lot of the like ordering processes and stuff like that. And we set up like a Trello. Do you guys ever use Trello?
yep.
Yeah, we set up a Trello board basically to like keep track of all the orders and like what stage of the the process like each of those orders is in. So she's like fantastic with that. And then Myra is like our customer service rep, and she's like really great, really charismatic, really great with the customers. So that's been huge. Like those two have just been like essential to the reason that we've been able to like have any success at all. Especially during that first month, like in September, I was working 2 jobs basically. So um, those two being a part of the team was like super essential. So that's a big reason because that enabled me to scale the ads, basically like the ad spend, to be able to meet the demand that like the potential demand. And like even when we talked whatever it was like a last week, I still wasn't even at like the budget cap, just because there's like so much demand for this stuff. And that's kind of the third thing is that um got a bit lucky with like one of the suppliers that I got right off the bat is a great supplier, really good supplier, really really great team. I have like a great personal relationship with my account rep over there, and they've just been like a pleasure to work with.
Mm,
So it's, yeah, I think it's kind of a combination of those. And maybe one more thing, would be like because shipping is so crazy right now. Like for anyone listening that's isn't maybe keeping up with this particular issue, there's like a huge shipping, like ocean freight backlog outside of Los Angeles harbor right now, and it's something like 40% of all consumer goods in the United States pass through that port. And there's like 80 plus cargo ships that are just like in the ocean, just like queued, waiting to come in. And part of that's because of COVID, and like that in conjunction with like holiday shopping, it's just like put a lot of stress on the supply chain in the United States. So there's back orders on most of the stuff that we sell, 1 month back order, 2 month back orders, and having like a really small team has been like a huge blessing, because since we're not dealing with crazy volume, we can like call every single customer and say like, hey, your thing is on back order until this time. Like, is that going to work with you? Like with your construction timeline, do you need to find a replacement? So that's been like really, yeah, just good. It's been actually turned out in our favor, I think.
Yeah.
I think the good thing is people. I think that's what people expect now. I think anywhere, anytime where you shop online, like even from the big retailers,
Yeah.
my wife is. We're still kind of furnishing our house, so anything she orders, there's always like, you get an email from Wayfair saying like, oh, such and such, this is back ordered, and not always, but
Yeah, on Wayfair, Joe.
it's not me.
Traitor.
But yeah, you get the idea. I think
Yeah.
people aren't back in the day, like a few years ago, if there was a delay before all this, it was kind of, people would get kind of upset. But I feel like now it's part of the standard of a lot
That's
of
like,
things.
and I don't know, maybe you guys have had a different experience, but for us, it's been pretty recent. Like when we were making sales in August and September, people didn't really know what was going on. But then I feel like this issue is kind of like, it's been going on all summer, but it's kind of like penetrated the mainstream media and been getting coverage there. That's like been pretty recent, in my opinion. So people seem to be in the past couple of weeks a lot more like understanding and a lot more informed. Has that been your guys'?
I haven't noticed that, but I also don't interact at that level with like the customers.
Right.
But that is an interesting point. Yeah, I think as it becomes more in the purview of people that this is like just a thing that's affecting everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna have to come to terms with it. But I mean, realistically, it's been happening since April 2020.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we always make it a point to kind of explain that to people that, this is the situation everywhere. It's not us.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think when you have replacements, you have options, and the customer can feel safe that they're getting the best possible outcome through you. Then it is what it is.
Yeah. 100%. And it's crazy the amount of like, because what we have like an email template basically, where like if an item is on back order or whatever, we'll like basically copy and paste this email template and like send it to the person, and it pretty much explains all of the like essential details, like this is an industry-wide problem, this is the item that's on back order, this is when it's going to be shipped. And sometimes those don't get responses, so I'll just like call the person. And it's crazy, like just like when people feel that personal touch, like there's so much more understanding, there's so much more willing to work with you, like find a replacement. So that's been a nice revelation.
Yeah, we get asked all the time, how do you compete with Wayfair? How do you compete with Home Depot? How do you compete with these other stores? And that's exactly the answer. They can never do those things.
Yeah.
And so for them, it doesn't matter that they can't do those things. They just mark something, they just take it off their website, whatever it is, or, that type of thing. But for you, $175,000 in revenue, that actually makes a difference in someone's life. For them, they wouldn't even notice that.
Wouldn't blink.
Yeah. So, yeah. I lost my train of thought there. But really, I mean, so for the record, have you quit your job?
Yeah. Yep.
When did you do that?
I did that like end of September.
So was it because of the store, or was it just like I'm
Yeah, it
saying
was
like was the
100%.
store at a sustainable point, or you just felt like you took a leap of faith? What was it?
Yeah, it was a bit of a leap of faith. Just because like, so the other side of like all the back order stuff is that like we don't actually get, or I don't actually get paid until the stuff ships out, because like at least the way that this store is set up, it's like the supplier, they're responsible for the shipping, so it's like they need to give you um like the shipping quote. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you don't know the total cost of goods sold until like
Yep,
the day before it ships out. And I'm not just gonna like speculate and pull money out of the business bank account. You know what I mean? I'm gonna wait until
exactly. Yeah.
it's like, yeah. So it's, I mean, like I'm making enough in real time to like be cash flow neutral pretty much. But then it's like, okay, all this, the real money is gonna start coming in like in a month, because that's when
Mhm.
like all this stuff is gonna start getting delivered and whatnot. So that concept kind of freaked me out at first because I had basically been only making sales for about a month when I put in my 2 weeks notice. But at that point, I was already doing like over 100,000, in like the first 30 days or whatever it was. So I was like, okay, um, I don't know. I'm definitely not like someone who just like is gonna be reckless, but I'm also not super risk averse, especially when it's like I can control a lot of the factors there. And Joe, you gave me some really good advice. Basically, like if you don't have anyone depending on you, which I don't, just a bachelor, and well, not a bachelor, but I don't have any kids, and then it's like it's pretty much on me, and I wasn't necessarily worried about that. So yeah, sorry, that was super
Yeah.
long-winded answer, but
No,
yeah,
that's important. I think that's the time to really do it. And we did an episode on we did a couple episodes on Dave Ramsey a few times, and I really think I definitely disagree with some of what he says about using credit cards and things like that. But when it comes to designing your lifestyle and taking in a way where the cash coming in far exceeds the cash going out, I think that's a
right.
very, very important principle. And obviously, in your situation, you don't have to have a lot of cash going out for that reason. So now's the time to take some more risks and get not. I don't even want to say risks. I feel like at the end of the day,
Hmm.
the kind of stuff that we do is less risky than a regular job. But
Agreed. Yeah, no,
take
dude, because it's like,
be more
sorry,
aggressive.
sorry, man, go ahead, go ahead.
No, that's I'm just rambling, really.
I was gonna say like it's you don't know like your company can turn around and fire you next week, and they would not like they also wouldn't bat an eye at that. That's the way companies work, and it's like not across the board, of course. Like there are examples of companies that they really care about the people and they have really good. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's like they're also running a business, and you can easily get fired,
Yeah.
even if you're doing everything right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, once you start having kids or you start taking on like mortgages or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that, I think it really becomes a hindrance to your ability to make money because like you are going to be more conservative as far as like what you do with the money you have coming in, or maybe you have less money at the end of the day to invest in something. So yeah, people need to start doing this type of thing when they're young. At least you learn the skill, and sometimes
right.
things take longer than you think. I mean, you know, like you said, you kind of I don't want to say got lucky because you
I
did what
say
you
that
did,
all the
but
time. Yeah,
but it's just odds, right? Like
yeah,
you chose a good enough industry, you called the right people at the right time, and
yep,
so it led to success. But some people, it takes a year, it takes
yep,
2 years.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you need to start on that now because you never know when that time is gonna be.
100%. One thing that was actually like pretty huge for me was like I took this consulting job because I wanted to like get a different skill set, basically. and it did give me like a good project management skill set, and that is like a huge reason that I don't know. I feel like we were able to like set up a lot of these processes and do that. So, what's that? Luck is preparedness, meeting opportunities.
Yeah, exactly,
You know,
exactly.
it's
Because
not just like
yeah,
the
like you said, I mean, you've been doing things. You said since like July, whenever you said you found the other course, so it's been a few months leading
March.
up to this. March,
Yeah.
yeah. So April, May, June, July, August. So it's that the sales happen quick,
Yep.
but really you were kind of in the background before that. You were doing other things with your job that helped, and I think hiring the VAs, like you said, was a huge factor because it's not something
So,
people
yep.
normally do until really they're in a predicament.
Mm-hmm.
But you having it like that out of the gate, I think relieved a lot of pressure that would have come on
Yep.
yourself. Pause for like if you start if you start getting these back orders, you know, it's like if you're handling everything yourself, you're like, oh, what am I gonna do? I gotta start working on this. I gotta start working on that, and then the ads are gonna not be as tended to. You're not gonna be as willing to increase your budgets, and
Right.
so it all coincides, and
Yep.
yeah, so 100% you wouldn't have been able to get to that type of revenue without two people there handling all the leads, all the sales you're bringing in.
Yeah. Definitely not.
So
Yeah, that
And
was very
we
important.
always tell people, sometimes ask us, can I do this if I have a full-time job? And I think
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just gave the answer, because we give the same answer to people.
Yep.
Like, yeah, as long as you are proactive about getting a VA in place. And it's really not that hard, because if you're proactive about
Mm-hmm.
it, they can upload your products. They can just be with there from the beginning of the store, be familiar with all the suppliers, and then they become an integral team member. Or the earlier you start them, you don't have there's less training,
Yep.
they're learning more on the job before there's
Mm-hmm.
10,000 customers at the on the live chat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go
Yeah,
to the restroom real quick.
Joe, you gotta piss before these streams start.
I can't, we're always so late and then I forget.
Do you, bro? We'll be
Too much,
here.
too much green tea, man. Um, but no, Will, I wanted to ask you,
Yep.
where did you go for hiring VAs?
Craigslist. I went to
Okay.
Craigslist Caracas. They're both Venezuelan.
Oh, so they're not in the Philippines; they're in Venezuela.
They're Venezuelan.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting twist. Yeah, we're seeing some people have issues. No, seriously.
Yeah.
We're seeing sometimes people like try and post on a Manila Craigslist in the
Mm-hmm.
Philippines, and it gets shut down. So you didn't run into any of those issues.
I did at first, but then like I tried it again and it was good. Yeah, no,
So
there's
what?
people on there. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what led you to posting in that country?
My girlfriend is
How
from
did you know about that?
Venezuela, so I'm like more familiar with that country than probably the average person, and she has family members that would take jobs like this, and I don't know. So I
Oh,
just knew that it was there, and then that plus the fact that like they're in the same time zone as me, I like. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
interesting.
You know.
So, do you mind sharing what type of wage they get over there?
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's $4 an hour, which is comparable to what you can
Oh,
pay someone in the Philippines, and that's like making $40 an hour in Venezuela. Like I don't know how much you guys know about it over there, but it's like crazy. I mean, the
I saw
bolivar,
about the
which is
inflation issue.
yeah, it's like insane. I mean, the Venezuelan currency, the bolivar, is like basically paper. Like the only
So
really way to live is to use uh the U.S. dollar.
coin.
Bitcoin, yeah. But
Joe,
no,
I don't know if
seriously,
you
it's
caught that, but he was saying that his VAs are actually from Venezuela.
yeah.
Yeah. So off Craigslist as well. So
Yep.
yeah,
And it works
shout
out
out
well
shout out
because
Craigslist.
it works out really well because that's you know that's like a good living wage for them, and they provide like a ton of value for our business, so
Absolutely.
works out.
Um, no, that's an awesome little tidbit there. I'm sure a lot of
Hmm.
people were going to ask. We get a lot of questions about hiring these days, and
Okay.
Yeah, it's really important. And so I think people really underestimate, like, okay, you're spending $8 an hour to have 80 hours a week of assistance.
Yeah.
And so logically, it's really a no-brainer to get something like this going immediately. I
Right.
understand some people are like strapped for cash and all that, but again, people really I think underestimate how much their time is worth and how much they can do when they're not
Yeah.
being tied down by these nitty-gritty things of like taking a call or dealing with the little stupid things that happen inside your store every day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
yeah, you
Just to think about that, you can literally just spend one like day a week delivering pizza. You can easily make $80 in a few hours doing that, and then or a card or something you can easily do in the gig economy. You get that $80. You have two VAs for the week. You can do some amazing.
I think kind of the other piece of that, though. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
You go ahead. I was questioning Joe's math on that.
You get $80. You get
That's 10 hours. That's 10 hours, $8 an hour. 8 times 10, Joe.
Yeah, so you would want 360.
So $4
$320.
an hour times 40 hours is $160. So it's $320 a week for
Right.
two employees, 40 hours a week at $4 an hour.
Well, I still bet you can make that in about a day.
If you're at,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, in any event, I think again, a small price to pay, even if you have one.
Yeah, right. And presumably you're making some sales at that.
My
point,
mic
too,
was
so
my
it's
mic was
like-
actually muted, so no one heard my math.
Oh, thank God.
They just heard me questioning. Yeah, it wasn't worth hearing me anyway. But we got the
Yeah,
concept.
so,
one day doing a gig thing, you can have enough for a week of a VA's time, essentially.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say the other piece of that is the training. Like, I spent a lot of time training both of them, like literally doing practice sales calls with Myra. So it's not like you can just expect someone to come in and just like take over your business for you. It's like you have to put a lot of time into training.
Yeah, and I think again that's also something people struggle with in the beginning because
Yeah.
they're just trying to figure things out at first themselves.
Right.
So, I'm assuming you had some experience from your previous job that helped with that.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say it was that you did to train them?
Yeah. Well,
Like any weird things?
yeah, I think a lot of people get kind of freaked out with the idea of sales. Like, but when you actually, like, a lot of people think that selling is like this really like corny thing, and they think of it as being like you're trying to basically like, I don't know, slip into someone's pockets or something like that, like, and be like aggressive. But that's really not. That's like really bad selling technique, and there's real technique to selling. Like in this first job I took out of college, the first 6 months of it was just like sales school that we were in it, and we learned like this. It's like literally like a framework, and you can go online and you can find similar stuff, but there are like these techniques, to handling objections or to whatever, like closing, and stuff like that. And so that's huge actually, because that's been super helpful in getting supplier relationships as well. So that's a really good skill, and one that's transferable too. It's not all just like personality, like I think people sometimes think it is.
Yeah, I think that was really a valuable thing that I learned
Mm-hmm.
when I started doing the dropshipping, because we didn't hire right away. Honestly, it took us maybe a year or two to hire like anyone for customer support. So it was really
Right.
me doing all of it.
Yeah.
But I
You
was
figured
able
it
to
out
kinda
on the fly.
learn. Yeah, you figured it out on the fly
Yeah.
how to do sales, and it's really yeah. I think this phrase is used a lot, but it's about making the situation win-win.
Mhm.
Right? Like, people perceive sales as, like you said, you win, they lose. You're
That's bad sales.
deceiving them, or
Mhm.
but it doesn't have to be that. It's
No.
like you said, if you're providing something that is valuable, then you need to convey that to them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, someone else will, and that's really the reality of it.
Yeah. The other thing that's super cool about the way that the stores are, or like that you teach the stores to be set up, it's like all the traffic is super high intent traffic. So everyone is pretty, at least when you start off, um, pretty much everyone who gets to your site like already knows that they're like gonna buy this, and they're just at this point
Yeah.
deciding like who to buy it from, or whatever, wherever they get the best price. So it's not, it's like what you have to do at that point, it's you have to like identify what their concerns are and then alleviate them. Like you don't even really have to do any convincing. You basically just have to
Exactly.
like help them get out of their own way.
Exactly. And yeah, that was like the majority of what I was doing when I would take
Yeah.
these calls. Is I'm like, all right, like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And they tell you what
Yeah.
you want, and you're
It's
kind of
like,
just
okay.
figuring out like what's between
Yeah,
getting
exactly.
them what they want, and
Yeah.
maybe they're concerned about when they're going to get it, or like
Yeah.
whatever it is. So yeah, it's not like you're a friggin' door-to-door vacuum salesman,
Yeah, no,
and
not
you
at
got to
all.
take them from why are you here to
Yeah.
buying the vacuum. It's pretty easy in terms of sales jobs.
Yeah,
I'd say.
definitely.
Don't you have a
The supplier, go ahead, Joe, sorry.
Oh, no. Sorry. My question was dumb. What about the supplier?
I was gonna I was gonna say the calling up the suppliers, that was actually a little harder. That was more,
Yeah.
that's a little bit more like cold calling, and you have to like pitch yourself and all that. But
Do
definitely.
you think your previous experience helped you with that?
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Because I think, especially in the beginning, that's probably, like you buy a course, you're all excited and all
Yeah.
that thing. I think that's like the main thing where maybe the emotion starts to go down, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Shit,
dude, I felt
I got to
it
do
too,
something
yeah.
that's
Hard.
difficult."
Yeah, no, it was like that. I was so anxious, like making the first call. So what I did was the first, the first supplier I called was like pretty much I don't want to. They weren't like the best one on my list. They were one that I was thinking like, okay, they'll definitely like, they let anyone in,
Yeah.
and ended up closing that, which was like a huge confidence boost, because then you
Yeah.
just go through the rest of them. I haven't sold a single one of their products to this day.
Sometimes you need that though, but I think yeah, in the beginning it is nerve-wracking because you're like, what do I, talking about the win-win thing again, it's like,
Yeah.
what do I have to offer them? I don't even have a store running. It's like I gotta kind of make something up, or you don't have a lot of you're not grounded in like your belief as to how you can be
Yeah,
of
right.
value to them.
Right.
But as you go on, you do start to become that because you have sales,
Totally.
you have
Yep.
stuff that you're selling, and so you can sell their stuff, like you could be of value to them. So at
Yep.
this point, if I was to call a supplier, I would be even pissed that I have to do it.
Yeah.
They should be
Yeah,
coming to
dude.
me.
Yeah, bro. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true, man. Like I'm getting a second store up and running right now, and I made my first supplier call yesterday, and it was just like chatting at that point, and it was just, what do you guys need from me? Here's what I need from you, blah blah blah. Like let's do it.
Yeah. So that's definitely a big hurdle for people. I mean, so any
Yeah.
tips you can give on that end?
Yeah, 100%. Like I was saying before, like a lot of people think like, oh, I'm an anxious person. Like, oh, I don't like, talk to people I don't know, whatever. Like it's some of the best people like that. I mentioned that I was like in this global, or this sales school program, and like the person who was at the top of the class was like the quietest person in the class. She might have come across as like awkward to some, but because she like really studied these like like I don't even really want to say technique, but like the framework, like studying this like sales framework and applying it, it's like she like was so good because of that. So it's a learnable skill, and you learn it, you learn the framework, and then you apply it and you get better at it until it just becomes it feels a little awkward at first because it's like it is a framework that you're trying to integrate into just your regular like conversations, but after a couple of them, it just becomes really natural and a really important skill to have, in my opinion.
100%. And yeah.
How do you get to the top of a class about sales? Like, is there any selling involved?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was like you had like the new cohort, and then you had like the graybeards of the company who were like these like veteran sellers, like really successful throughout their careers, and then you would basically learn the frameworks, and then you would do these practice calls with the graybeards, and they would like, yeah, the keepers of the secrets. But and then they would grade you at the end based on like how well you applied the framework and whatever the
Gotcha.
particular
Gotcha.
thing you. But you know, you can like whatever find books about it and watch YouTube courses and stuff. But I don't
Do you have
know.
any that you would recommend to the people and to me? I'm curious.
No, I don't.
Oh my god,
Sorry.
he's selling. He's selling right now.
All
Okay, let's get to some chats here because
right.
are we over an hour already, Joe?
Yeah, we're at an
Time
hour,
flies.
27 seconds.
Holy, 27 seconds. All right.
Oh Jesus.
Time is a wasting. Aaron says hello in the chat. Big numbers, Will. Congrats. Dan Z
Thanks,
says
dude.
175K plus. Sheesh. Nothing to sneeze at. I believe it's a salt shaker and a man dabbing. So there you go.
Thanks, bro.
Alexandra M says awesome content, guys. Much love from Barcelona. I was wondering
Oh,
if any
word.
students from Europe. Are you Barcelonian?
No, I just think that's cool that someone's watching this from Barcelona.
Oh yeah, we're worldwide, man.
Yeah.
We're like Pitbull. I was wondering if you have any students from Europe that are having success selling in the USA. I just made my first 10K with GA. I know how strict GA can get. Gracias. GA, Google Ads? I don't know. But we have students in Europe. A lot of them sell in Europe. So I would say don't discount selling in your home country, Alexandre. Okay, we got Sam Lee. Hi guys, I'm interested in joining Elite Fleet and have a couple of questions. I sent an email a couple of days ago. Is email the best way to contact you? Why are we getting these support messages in here, Joe?
Well, he did send an
We
email.
need some,
To be honest, I didn't reply to it because we get a lot of emails that are like, I don't know. He basically early. I mean, no offense to Sam Lee. I guess I'll answer your email, but he asked for like a discount or like off the bat to the course. So I didn't answer it.
Yeah, that's a good way to not have your email answered, right? I think you know, sometimes we gotta have boundaries in life, and if you wanna get in, you wanna see what we're up to, you wanna join the community, you just gotta do it and go from there. So that's all I could say. Aaron asks, how many brands are you running ads on? Will.
I have like 5 listed, but basically 90% of my sales are coming from one brand.
Yeah, and I meant to bring this up earlier, but people ask about like niche saturation or competition or things like that, and we always try to tell people it comes down to the supplier, right? Because if you didn't have that one supplier that was really good, you might be sitting here saying, "Oh, this niche sucks.
Yeah,
I need
right.
to do a new store, this or that."
Yeah,
But
dude, and
at the end of the day, you know, your life can be changed through one supplier.
and even in addition to that, I think that like I like heard you mention this one time in a I don't remember, in one of your like content things, and it just like stuck with me, is that most people like don't know really how to do ads effectively, and even in addition to that, most people don't really know how to, you know, do sales or like provide good customer service. So even if a supplier is really good, but there's a lot of people selling it, I don't think it's that hard to like outmaneuver other websites when it comes to like your ads and stuff like that.
Yeah, because ads themselves, I mean, there's so many different long tail keywords you can show up for, and like, yeah, you don't know just because someone is selling something,
Right.
you don't know what their budget is, you don't know what their bids are, you don't know how their campaigns are set up so that they're, you know, how targeted they are for different things. And so,
Right.
yeah, you really cannot gauge how fruitful a brand is going to be for you until you start selling them.
Yeah. And
That's,
even
that's
like
the fact of the matter.
even drilling down to like the SKU level stuff, like Home Depot or like they're not doing that. You know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah, you really have no idea what someone is doing on the other end of their ads account. And yeah, don't get intimidated by other people, other brands, whatever, public companies. For Logos Video says he was interviewing you both so well. Yes, we did switch roles for a second there, but I think it worked out in the end. JC asked, or JJ said, "I'm gonna dropship crypto." Yes, good idea.
That's the same guy. I think that's Joel D. I recognize his icon. He's the one that would like two bald guys, one something.
Oh yeah, yeah. He keeps changing his identity because we keep banning him. No, just kidding. We would never do that. JC, how many orders do you have this month for 175K? Will, I want to see the price range of products you're selling.
Yeah. The average order value is $1,450. So $1,450.
So that's
Dude, I didn't just do that in my head.
That's about 100, 110, 120 orders
Yeah.
per month. I think if my yeah, something like that. By the way, I see people having a single order for 10K plus, and the only products I could think of selling for that much online is outdoor products. Is my hypothesis true? LOL. And chandeliers I could also see selling for over 10K. Well, keep thinking, because I mean, there's so many other things. I mean, in any industry, there are probably products at that price point, right? It comes down to like, how luxurious do you want to get? I was in the Wynn Hotel in Vegas in August, and if people aren't familiar with the Wynn, it's like kind of fancy. And so my friends and I snuck into the like the spa room late at night, and it's like you're in this room and everything, like it's probably tens of millions of dollars worth of stuff just in one room. So from like the tables to the figurines to there was just so many ridiculous things. And so you got to think about like, okay, an end table can be anywhere from $20, $50 at Walmart, all the way up to probably $50,000 you can spend on an end table. If it's made out of marble, if it's, who knows what. And so that may be a poor example, but I think it just drives home the point that with any product type, there's going to be some super luxurious product. Like chandeliers. I mean, you gave that example. Like there's chandeliers that are millions of dollars. So really anything you could think of should be within that price point, like at some level.
I love the example of, I always talk about pencils and pens. There are definitely like $10,000 pens.
Yeah, we were gonna do that story. We were gonna do like expensive pens.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's crazy pens out there. So yeah. Okay. People complaining about your audio. Toby, Will, you said most of your sales are on Backorder. Do you think that's a good strategy to advertise out-of-stock products, get orders, and then tell the customer and hope they agree to wait?
That's what I thought was gonna, like, because I was like talking to a friend about this, and I was like, should I like say that everything's on Backorder or whatever? And he was saying like, no, because otherwise they're just gonna like go somewhere else and buy it. But I tried that for a while, and it was like just ended up being like a huge pain in the ass because like I couldn't trust any of my sales numbers because I knew that 50% of them were gonna get canceled, and it was like just this. It was like super annoying. So then what we started doing was being really upfront about like all of the lead time. And now basically I'm in a place where I don't want us to even get a sale unless we've already talked to the person and like told them this is the lead time, this is when you can expect to get it. Like I don't even want people making it through that are going to be like upset that there's Backorder.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome explanation there. It's not like it to be deceptive or tricky in that type of situation, but it is like you said. I mean, if you took these products down just straight off your website, people are going to go other places and find them,
Mm-hmm.
and they may go to that person that has it stated in a way that may not necessarily be true.
Right.
So yeah, it's not like you're doing a bad thing, and I think it's just, again, it's the state of the industry. If someone wants something, they have to deal with the fact that right now, to get that particular item, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, or they could switch to an in stock item, or whatever it is. So I think it's part of the ebbs and flows of a business. Is you got to learn how to adapt and how to
Yeah.
serve your customers in the best way possible. And
Dude,
sometimes that is how to serve them. Go on.
one thing that I've found that, I don't know, has been really valuable, I think, is like we're just like just want to be like super upfront and honest like about every element of the business at every single moment, because I think people generally are like pretty frustrated a lot of the time with a lot of online selling, because maybe they're like have a like shady encounter, like they can't get a straight answer or something. So it's like, if it ever comes up, like I'll tell people that, yeah, we're drop shipping from this, here's where the warehouse is located, this, that, the other thing. Like no one in the industry, like everyone in the entire industry is drop shipping, like I'll like tell people that all the time. And the more like honest I am with people, the more like trust they have. And I don't know, it always just works out in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So where were we? We got a lot of questions here. I don't know what it is. The longer we go, the more people come in, and it's almost like we can never end the streams. So we should be like one of those like live lo-fi channels that are just always going live.
Dude, that's so funny. I used to like like I had this job, and it was just like super like there was like months where I had almost nothing to do. And so I'd always just like flip one of those lo-fi channels on and maybe like step away from my laptop for a little bit to just like stay online with Slack.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. How much capital did you start with when you started dropshipping with the Elite Fleet, and when did you start to make profit?
Yep. So when I was doing it on my own, like starting in March, I probably sank like 5,000 or 6,000 into it without really making any profit. Maybe it was more like 4,000 actually, but that was when I was just like doing it on my own, like, yeah. And then the Elite Fleet was like $2,000, and then pretty much from that point on, I started making money. So the way I thought about it at the time was like, okay, I can take this $2,000 and I can put it into an investment, and then maybe get 10% year-over-year return, or I can build a successful business and then get like a million X multiplier on it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's always going to be an investment. I think at the end of the day, like you said, are you doing something that you believe there's going to be a long-term return? And I think it's pretty hard not to get a return based on the way that we strategize and structure things, because you're building something at the end of the day you could sell. So
right.
A $1,000 profit business is not just $1,000 a month. It's actually now $30,000 to $45,000 in equity that you've created, because then you can just sell that business.
Yeah.
So I think that's a life-changing thing for people, because $1,000 a month, it's not that hard to make. Yeah, like do an Uber or whatever, but to get a windfall of $40,000 is a pretty life-changing thing for the majority of people. So you're better off spending your time learning those skills than.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the skills.
Yeah.
Your mind is your greatest asset.
Yes, sir. The mind is sharper than the sword, or the pen. The expensive pen is sharper than the expensive sword.
If I'm paying that much for it, I would hope so.
Well, swords would be a good niche too.
Swords?
Yeah, can you sell those?
Dude, I did knives, and one of the, like when I was just like messing around, one of the things that I fell into was like these Japanese knives that were like I had like a couple US suppliers, but mostly it's like Alibaba, like $200 Japanese knives. But one of the
Oh,
suppliers that I had, it was a bunch of like cosplay swords they also had in their inventory. Yeah.
that's very salesman of you. Gonna go
Yeah.
straight to Cutco or Vector, become a knife salesman.
Yeah, right.
That's what I was gonna say before. Is a few years ago, one of your friends who sold those knives, he came to our house and is like, he tried to sell us the knives,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I already have a knife. I don't know if I need all this.
Some of them are sick though, bro. Like I've got a couple, like three left over just from when I had product samples, and they're dope.
Nice. Okay. When it comes to enforcing map policy, are you able to give a discount to customers who actually reach your store? I've seen a couple other resellers offer a discount on their website. So I'll answer this. It just depends on the map policy. So like on the strictest end, um, if someone is even like offering a discount, that could be a violation of map. But usually, again, on the strictest end of a map policy, you're able to still sell someone a product for whatever price, but you cannot advertise that price anywhere. It's minimum advertised price. So let that marinate in your brain a little bit.
I think places will like tell you too, like, hey, this is a violation before they
Yeah.
kick you off. You know, they're not just gonna like,
Yeah, usually it's a 3 strikes you're out type thing.
got it.
Do you mind demonstrating knives? No. Do you mind demonstrating how to correctly count how many online retailers a brand has on Google to know for sure if there's too much competition or not? Maybe we'll get into this in the course updates because this is something that has changed recently in terms of like going on Google Shopping. It used to tell you straight up, like how many people were selling a product. Now it kind of doesn't. Now it lies a little bit. Because it'll say 5 plus, it'll say 10 plus, but by plus they mean like 100 people are actually selling this. So yeah, there's I'm gonna write that down actually. That'll be something we'll go into in the course update.
If I can add something, like, and maybe you can tell me like if this, I don't know, resonates with you, but one thing I think about, especially when I was like kind of going into the second store and then like choosing my niche for that, is like I having the experience doing the first store and like doing the ads the way you guys taught and such. Like I wasn't even really thinking about competition at that point because I was thinking like, okay, no matter how big like the pie is and how many players there are trying to get a slice of it, like the way that like we know how to do Google ads, it's like it's better than most of the people trying to get a slice of the pie. So it's like you're gonna be able to carve out a piece for yourself.
Plus, the pie is still there.
Right.
You got a piece of apple, piece of blueberry, piece of cherry. All of a sudden, you're full.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got a lot of slices of pie.
It's a lot of pie.
I don't know.
Does that, am I just like,
I agree with you, and I think when it comes down to it, when a lot of students like start asking us about like keyword research and
yeah.
all these types of things before they call suppliers, and we tell them like, don't think about that. Just start calling the suppliers. Like, do it now. Because yeah, you're right.
My metaphor is that if you have a bunch of pieces of pie from a bunch of suppliers, and you have minimum one sale a month from all these suppliers, then you have a lot of pie. That's why. That's why, to your point, yeah, you gotta just call and not hesitate and not worry about the keyword research and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You're over here trying to figure out how big the pie is, how many people are eating the pie.
Mm-hmm.
Just each supplier is a pie, so just start calling and see what you have, and just keep going until you're full. Right. So that's our analogy for the week. Also, Joe and Mike, does the Elite Fleet come with a script on what to say to suppliers, or not so much?
I definitely do a sample phone call inside the course, so you can model that. I don't know if you want to call that a script. I mean, you're going to sound really robotic if you read off a script, but we definitely give you the tools you need to make it happen.
There it is. Dan Z said, "Don't ask for discounts on build assets online, or Joe will raise the price." LOL. Yeah, you don't want to piss Joe off.
No,
'Cause
what?
he'll do crazy things. He'll shut down the whole business.
No, he was. It was just that if I'm going through the emails and I gotta decide, we should really have someone else looking at these emails, but we don't. That's just
See, we suck at this.
really
you know,
our fault.
We're not even outsourcing our customer service. You know,
And it's just if I go through the emails and I see someone that's like asking for a discount, I'm just like, all right, I can't. Not that I was like mad, I just can't. I got a lot of other things to do.
no, I'm just entertaining Dan Z's
Yeah,
fantasy here.
but the price will be going up. It's just we're clearing some things out, and then who knows where the price is going. Let me just say that. To the moon.
Millionaire Oasis says Joe low key has comedian potential. LOL.
I wish. My jokes kind of suck.
You gotta iron them out, If you're approved with 10 suppliers, 5 map, 5 without map, do you simply disregard the non-map and start with the 5 map, or list them all anyway? Who's gonna answer this? What would you do, Will?
I wouldn't even be at a point where I had 10 suppliers. Honestly, that's so many suppliers. I don't know. I'd rather
Bring
go.
that up. Well, sorry. Finish your sentence.
I would focus hard on like 3 suppliers that I really like, which probably means map, and like I would focus on bringing them on board and then like just doing their stuff. I don't know. I think you can get pretty far with like a not that many suppliers, and like once you identify which supplier is going to work, then it's like you can like really get big payouts on that.
Yeah, I wish this was something we got into during the main thing, but like we see students that just go overboard with the suppliers,
Yeah.
and I think it hinders them. Because when you're new, your budget is not going to be, $500 a day, most likely. And people get overwhelmed, and it's like they spread themselves too thin. And that we've had some conversations on the live stream and, inside the Elite Fleet about like people talk about general stores, and like that's a bad idea. People talk about stores that are too niche down, also not a great idea. Like you need the Goldilocks store in the middle that's sufficient enough you can, pivot to different product types, but ultimately you want to kind of stay focused in one particular or a couple particular avenues, because we see people that have like 50 suppliers. I'll get on with a student I've never spoken to before. They've just started their store maybe a month or two ago. They have 50 suppliers. And it's like, how are you supposed to figure anything out when your budget is $30 a day? That's less than $1 a day per supplier. So, yeah, I mean, to Will's point, definitely focus on map suppliers at first, because there should be enough of them that you don't need to even worry about non-map. You can list them, but I don't know if you want to. I wouldn't even get into it as a new person. But yeah, you want to really find the suppliers that start making sales for you, start working out, and then really just drill down on those before you start going like balls to the walls with just adding more and more suppliers. Yeah, Bad Booter said, would you suggest newbies to get approved by a brand and start running ads for them if they have over 10 retailers on Google? Some people say it's best under 10 for the most successful suppliers. Then some say they don't even care if a brand is over 25 on Google, and they'll still test them.
Yeah.
He says yes. Will says yes. That's
Well,
it.
I was saying, yeah, short and simple. No, but it's like I was saying before, even if there's like 20 people doing it, maybe only 5 of them know how to like do ads properly. And since it's all like intent driven anyways, like the stuff anyways, like the way you should be selling, like you don't know, maybe 15 of those are they're only doing like display ads or something like that. They're not even, or they're only bidding on like general keywords. So I honestly would try and sell something even if it had 30 suppliers. I don't know, just to see.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as your margins are good, it's map, it's a good supplier, then there's really no harm to testing it because it's like you explained.
Right.
In shopping ads, especially, he's referring to shopping ads because he's talking about like the 10 plus, 25 plus thing. People need to understand shopping ads, you're bidding on products, you're not bidding on keywords, right? You have your SKUs, and then those SKUs are eligible to show up for a whole pool of keywords. So it's impossible to know what that person's pool is like on their ad account because you don't know how they're segmented. You don't know what their budget is. You may just be seeing that supplier, their budget could be $5 a day. If you searched at a different hour of the day, they wouldn't even be there because their budget would be exhausted. So, yeah, it's impossible to understand the landscape of a supplier, of a product, until you start selling it. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do this last question from Alexandre, and then we'll wrap it up. But yeah, we're going way overboard here. Sorry, Will.
No,
but
all good, man.
You're really getting the people riled up. So, see, Alexander said thanks for the answer. He did mean Google Ads. But he wants to know what we're talking about when he says closing a sale. Customers basically all support, and you answer all their questions, right? Thanks. So, yeah, there may be a bit of a language barrier here, but what we mean by closing a sale is like taking a customer who is interested in buying and getting them down to where they actually make the purchase. So that's kind of like a phrase, just closing the sale. So it just comes down to, like Will said, overcoming objections, just being personable, and just even at the end of the day, just asking for the sale. Say like, all right, let's do this. You ready to buy? And yeah, that's it. Closing the sale.
I like to say, is there anything else that you're concerned about before making the purchase, something like that? Because then you get like, what are the remaining concerns that you have to address?
Yeah, and that's perfect because you're framing it like, once your concerns are alleviated, you're going to be making the purchase.
Right.
Right. So you're kind of leading them, while doing that. So perfect. Yeah. So now people are talking about pie, but we'll leave it here. So, I mean, thank you, Will. That was a long one, but I think
it's
people
been
really
a
got
pleasure,
a lot of
man.
value out of that. I think you administered a lot of value as well. So you're really living up to your name. Sales expert, gray beard.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but it's great talking to you guys, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been a really enjoyable
I bet you're gonna do better than all the gray beards. Definitely.
I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, screw those gray beards.
They did pretty good, but we'll see.
All right. Well, thanks guys for watching. As always, buildassetsonline.com/playbook. Sign up for our free web class, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Take it easy.